Piker is officially reaching Satan levels of cooked, okay? Bro is 666% going to jail. I've done the math. The data's empirical. This is actually a little bit insane. This might be one of the wildest videos in the franchise, and I don't think anyone else is actually covering it because, believe it or not, most people don't want to do too deep of a deep dive into the political world of Hasan Piker. But let's just say bro found another terrorist organization to support. It is truly diabolical. So this is actually peak cinema. We have reached a stage that I am really happy we've done, because this is it's one of these stages of no return. We are never returning from this level of cinema. This guy found another organization to support, and he is still finding ways to be upset at, you know, everybody on the planet together, even though realistically, the West Bank is currently trying to make a deal with Israel to cut Hamas out. The Palestinians are trying to make a deal to cut Hamas out. Hamas refuses to have a ceasefire, even though they're quote-unquote getting genocided. He is losing completely. He is supporting the worst terrorist organizations you could think of, and he has just made a video that is so diabolically disingenuous, we are going to be tearing it to shreds. Grandmother 83 arrested for supporting Palestine. This is truly tragic. They arrested a tragic 83-year-old grandmother who is also a priest. Make that make sense. Yeah, for supporting Palestine. All right, so woman priest, this is red flag 1. Priest with grandchildren, that is red flag 2. Supporting Palestine, getting arrested, that's pretty suspicious. Arresting, so many different levels of suspicion going on in this video. You are not ready for what you are about to witness. Now, before we tear this video apart, because I have to introduce you to a new terrorist organization that Hasan Piker is supporting. This is diabolical. Let me introduce you to Hasan Piker. British police arresting an 80-year-old priest for holding up a sign that says, "I support Palestine action." This is horrible. I can't believe they would arrest this poor old 83-year-old priest, all for holding up a sign that says support Palestine action. This is nothing. This is nothing. J.D. Vance, who, by the way, he hates all the time, and Marco Rubio made a big show of how horrible the free speech rules were in the UK. True! Now that it's an actual egregious, cynical violation of free expression because it's against Israel, they say nothing. Now, I personally am a big fan of freedom of speech. I think that England's freedom of speech rules are absolutely diabolical. The fact that they arrest people for protesting against abortions or whatever, all right? Like, they'll arrest those people. They arrest people for saying memes about Islam. They arrest people. The free speech laws in the United Kingdom are bullshit. Vance made a whole big deal about it, and he was completely correct. And of course, Hasan crashed out. Hasan hates J.D. Vance. J.D. Vance is Hasan's least favorite person in American politics. He has made this abundantly clear. I've made an entire video in the past calling Hasan out for how much Hasan specifically hates Vance. Vance specifically is his least favorite guy. You should definitely catch up on the How Fucked is Hasan Piker franchise. That was in this special episode where he was supporting Iran. That was in this beautiful franchise over here. He went on his gigantic Vance crash out. Now, to be clear, this is a lie. This lady was not arrested for violation of free expression. She was not arrested for just holding up signs supporting Palestine. She was arrested for supporting a terrorist organization. This is not freedom of expression. This is terrorism. You are a liar, Hasan Piker, and I am about to have a very, very good day. So, in this special episode of 666% Fucked, allow me to introduce you to Palestine Action. Palestine Action is not people protesting for Palestine. Palestine Action is a UK designated terrorist organization. All right? Arrests after police officers hit with sledgehammer. Palestine Action is a movement in primarily the United Kingdom. It also has its tendrils in other places, like in America also. And they have been going around vandalizing shit and beating up people, okay? Police said sledgehammers, axes, whips, and homemade weapons were seized, where Palestine Action, a movement, went out and actually beat up police officers and whacked them with sledgehammers. This is not, by the way, peacefully protesting. This is an act of terrorism. Now, to be clear, this is not the only thing Palestine Action did. Palestine Action has been doing lots of shit, like this, for example. This is surveillance videos showing a man setting himself on fire outside the Israeli consulate in Boston for Palestine Action. All right, I don't want to show you in too many graphic details. I'm not going to show you the actual video. This is a guy that lit himself on fire to be part of Palestine Action. Mostly peaceful, retards. So this is a group from Palestine Action defacing a building in England. This is a crime. This is terrorism. There is no other way to describe this. Vandalizing buildings is an act of terrorism, without a doubt. All right, I'm gonna show you all the crazy shit that they've been doing. This is another thing that they did. They destroyed this entire bank. I guess it's because banks, Jews and banks go together. This is them, baby, destroying a bank. All right, this is absolutely violent. This is just destroying more businesses. All right, this is another thing Palestine Action did. All right, Palestine Action filmed themselves destroying portraits. All right, so this is them destroying portraits. Police end the portrait damage investigation, of course, and they've discovered it was Palestine Action that did this. All right, Palestine Action did this other video where they ransacked a factory, smashed windows, spray painted it, lit smoke bombs.
Which is complicit in the genocide that's going on in Gaza.
Right.
They are
this random factory is complicit in the genocide.
Actively involved, and they need to be shut down.
So they went and they straight up admitted that they are actually going out and vandalizing factories. All right, so they destroy art, they destroy factories to save Gaza, right? Obviously, this is going to save the Palestinians that Hasan doesn't care at all about, as I've proven in my previous video. He does not care, to be clear, about the Palestinians. He never cared about the Palestinians. If he cared about the Palestinians, he would not be supporting Hamas, the terrorists that started the war, that refused to end the war, and that murdered and starved their own people. But as I've covered in the past. Now, this is Citibank. Where they are literally ruining shit. They are vandalizing Citibank. All right, I guess banks are just, all right, Citibank finances genocide in Gaza. Let's vandalize that shit. All right. This is just, mostly peaceful protests. All right, let's go, dude. Good shit. This doesn't look like freedom of expression to me. This doesn't look like peace and tolerance. All right, jamming up the locks. Destroying the machines. Very cool. This is straight up vandalism and terrorism. This is teenage terrorism. This is leftist gay terrorism. The gayest terrorism of all time. Very cool. Love to see it. Them just straight up destroying machines, putting glue into different card readers and stuff like that. It's insane. So this is Palestine Action destroying locks and doors and readers in 6 banks. All right, I'm going to keep going because this is going to be very fun. The FAFO is coming. All right, so they stole this sculpture and they beheaded it from the University of Manchester. All right, very mentally ill people, Palestine Action. All right, that is vandalism, absolutely. I just want to make this clear. I want to make this very, very clear. This is going to be great. So, Senator Marco Rubio sent a letter to the Justice Department saying that they should open an investigation into Palestine Action, the movement, because they have been responsible for assaults, vandalism, harassment, and he sent in a letter to call them domestic terrorists. He said, listen, man, you have the right to protest peacefully for whatever you want. You have the right to protest for shit. You have the right to cry. You have the right to scream. You have the right to speak in any way that you want. You do not have the right to be terrorist organizations. That is not legal in the United States. So, actually, it turned out that they were designated as a terrorist organization, and their Twitter account was banned. You cannot have a Twitter for a terrorist organization. That's obviously not cool. Here are just more examples of Palestine Action destroying a factory with sledgehammers. Like, they film themselves doing it, and they're surprised. When they fuck around, they're so surprised to find out. Bro, ain't nobody got tolerance for this shit. Ain't nobody. Nobody's got any tolerance or any patience for any of this garbage. What a very musical people, am I right? Destroying cars, all right, vandalizing trucks, vandalizing warehouses. This is insane. By the way, this is crazy. Yeah, they've reached the FAFO moment. They've reached it. So after they have been designated as a terrorist organization, this is the response that Palestine Action made. their giant thing is, despite our collective efforts to stop the prescription of Palestine action, the prescription means prescribing them as a terrorist organization, the ban will come in at midnight. At midnight, they will be counted as a terrorist organization. And they they end their movement by saying, collectively, we will resist, and ultimately, we will win. In other words, they're gonna continue doing acts of terrorism. I mean, there's no two ways to explain it. That is what they're saying. Breaking unjust laws is a moral duty. They're basically saying that they have the moral duty to continue breaking laws because there's the genocide happening that Hamas has started and supports and doesn't want to end. And even though they support Hamas, the people that started all of this and kill their own people, it doesn't matter because they are just like Martin Luther King, according to themselves. They will continue to break laws and be terrorists. Very cool. Now, interestingly enough, they will go out there. Them. Go Hamas. Hands off Iran. Death to the IDF. October 7th was resistance. We are all Palestine action. Billionaires shouldn't exist. Grooming gangs are a lie. All right. No, silence. Me. Men can't be women. Them. Your words are violence. Anyway, I just thought that was funny. That's not relevant, but it is funny. So anyway, the MPs in England, they voted and they made Palestine Action a prescribed terrorist group. And this was a vote of 385 versus 26. 385 to 26. Bro, this is a colossal fafo because they are terrorists. They are a terrorist organization. They're going out, they're harassing people, they're assaulting people, they're beating people up. They're attacking police officers with sledgehammers and whips, destroying trucks, attacking airplanes, by the way. That's another thing. I think I have that prepared for you a little later. And 385 to 26, they were considered a terrorist organization by the British government. And then, of course, they have a whole list of all the people that voted no, that you should go and harass those politicians. Go harass the politicians that say that they are terrorists, obviously. All right, very cool, love that, very, very epic. So anyway, the Labour Party, it turns out, in England, they ended up delaying banning Palestine Action because they wanted to keep Muslim votes in local elections. So they knew that they were a terrorist organization for months. They were waiting for local elections to end so that after they could get as many Muslim votes as they possibly can. Only after that did they say, yep, they're terrorists, we're banning them. They were afraid to ban them before. And dude, politics is so fucking toxic, bro. It's so cringe. And so anyway, they always knew that they were terrorists. They just never wanted to declare them as terrorists because they wanted the elections, they wanted the votes. And then right after the votes came in, then they were like, okay, now that we got your votes, pump and dump. Fafo, you're terrorists. Fuck you guys. Now, to be clear, this is Zara Sultana. This is an MP in England. And she said 27 people, including a priest, professor, and health workers, were arrested today under terrorism laws. Their crime? Peacefully holding signs opposing genocide. This is how we sleepwalk into fascism. The left has a problem. You can't call everything fascism. Okay, listen, being against terrorist organizations, that's not fascism. They weren't, by the way, holding up signs peacefully opposing a genocide. What they were doing is they were holding signs saying, I support Palestine Action, which is a terrorist organization. A prescribed terrorist organization in the United Kingdom. Bro, they went out with signs saying that they are part of a terrorist organization. It's not my fault that they're retarded. It's their fault that they're retarded. So I want this to be very clear. If they are going to be retarded and they are going to be part of a terrorist organization, then fuck them. Yes, that is how it works. Yes. You are not actually legally allowed to be part of a terrorist organization. That's a law. Yes, correct. But I am only a terrorist that does the taxes. Okay, I just do the taxes at the terrorist organization. I don't actually harass people or assault anyone. I am simply the Godfather. I don't pull the trigger. I just sit there and say, your grandmama makes a wonderful skunk patrog. All right, that's what I say, bro. I don't actually pull the trigger. I'm cool. Now, let me make this clear. If you're part of a terrorist organization, you are doing a crime. It's actually criminal to be part of a terrorist organization, and it's very fun. It's very fun. I love that. It's fucking awesome. Yes, the FAFO is actually here. So this is them listing out a lot of the crazy shit that Palestine Action's been doing.
Palestine Action members spraying paint on military aircraft in Brize Norton seems positively moderate by comparison with what... let me finish my point and then I will give way. By comparison, this seems positively moderate by comparison with what the suffragettes did, rather than treating young people as terrorists because they feel frustrated about the failure to stop mass killings and bombings of Palestinians in Gaza.
Because this will help. This will totally help. Putting spray paint on planes will stop killings in Gaza. This is the argument.
Whether or not I agree with it, and I've never supported their activity, of great difference between that and terrorism. And if you start labeling people willy-nilly terrorists right across the board, you're going down a very, very dangerous route.
Yeah, except it's not willy-nilly, it turns out. Except it's not willy-nilly. It's actually harassing people, attacking people, lighting cars on fire, taking sledgehammers to people. Shit like that. That should not be a thing. That should not be a thing in modern Western society. There's nothing willy-nilly about this. These are people that have been prescribed as a terrorist organization and they're finding out. Right, so this is a guy in Germany who was arrested for this shit. And they are not playing. God damn. And they're like, oh my god, Berlin police brutally attacked Gaza supporters that probably did nothing wrong aside from peacefully use their voice, probably, or something. Now, I need to introduce you to this guy. Now, I've made fun of him in the past. He's my favorite character, by the way. He's my favorite character on the internet. You might have noticed him in the past. You might have seen him. I might have made fun of him before. This guy is a guy from Wales who went to Egypt to try to march into Gaza to stop the genocide. All right, that's what this guy did. So this is him in Egypt. You might have recognized him. I've made fun of him once or twice in the past, okay?
I beg you, I'll go onto my knees and I will beg you. The women are trying to feed their dying babies and their breasts are empty.
Do you know what that smells like?
Do you know what that sounds like? For humanity and for love, stand with your brothers and sisters in Palestine.
In Palestine! In Palestine! Oh my god, I love when they do that. Now, for the record, the reason why he calls it Palestine is because he's trying to be woke and cool, right? For the record, Palestine was called Palestine by the Romans, all right? It was called Palestine by the Romans. There is no letter P in the language, in Arabic, so they can't call it Palestine because they don't have the letter P. So they call it Palestine, because the Romans originally named Palestine after the Philistines, the ancient enemy of the Israelites back in the day. That is actually where Palestine came from. So anyway, that he calls it Palestine because he's trying his best to be woke.
I have never seen or experienced anything like it, please. I beg you, I'll go onto my knees and I will beg you. I'm a proud man and I'm a nurse. I paid to go to Palestine myself. I've had babies die in my arms. They shot pregnant women in front of me. For the love of humanity and for the love of Islam.
Yeah, for Islam! Please!
Please, don't do this.
No.
Allow us to march to Gaza.
Meanwhile, it turns out Egypt has 7 layers of walls between them and Gaza. Because last time people came from Gaza into Egypt, they started an uprising. So anyway, yeah, dude, they don't wanna relive that. So the Palestinians started a revolution in Jordan, in Lebanon. They were doing some shit in Egypt, so they built 7 layers of walls. So they're obviously not letting people into Gaza. And the simplest reason is Egypt has a border with Gaza, and they didn't take a single refugee from Gaza because they don't want people from Gaza. Egypt hates Hamas just as much as Israel does. Now, realistically, your average woke person from Wales, your average leftist is on his knees begging for Palestine. Please, their breasts are empty. God, I love this so much. Do you know what that smells like? God, I love this guy. He's my hero. Now, the reason why I'm mentioning this guy is because you will notice him over here. I've done something of a deep dive on this motherfucker. You'll notice him over here carrying a Welsh flag and a Palestinian flag. This is the crying nurse of Cairo. A lot of people are calling him the Viceroy of Cairo. Dude, I love him. He's the GOAT. Now, you will notice he is here as part of Palestine Action. He is part of the currently prescribed terrorist organization Palestine Action. This is kind of hilarious. As you can see him, Leigh Evans, the Viceroy of Cairo.
There's so many times they're taking that money and they're giving it to Israel. They're giving it to terrorists.
They're giving it to terrorists.
And Israel is a terrorist state. You know, there's so many times I've been to Palestine, you know, and there is absolutely no reprieve in the horror and the terror that they're inflicting on the Palestinian people.
I wonder why this war started. Why did this war start again? Can someone remind me in the comments? I totally forgot. Who started this war? Oh, Hamas, the people he supports, yeah. Anyway, his breasts are empty, so he shows up at protests all over the place. He's literally everywhere. It's amazing. It's awesome. Here he is again. Here he is again. This one's amazing. He says that Gaza is exactly like the Holocaust.
What I've seen and experienced in my visits to Palestine and Gaza, especially the last time, is as close as I ever thought I'd get to seeing the images of Nazi Germany.
Damn, I can't believe when the Jews started the Holocaust. Oh no, that was Gaza. That was Hamas, my bad, starting the current war. Yeah.
I have to say this thing as well, because I'm from London, but your Welsh, your Welsh tones, your poetic voice, I mean, resonating with like Dylan Thomas, Richard Burton. I mean, you couldn't get a more powerful accent.
He registered with me.
And voice. I mean, it was incredible.
It is literally just like the Holocaust. Just like the Holocaust. Yeah, absolutely. This is Gaza, by the way.
يسعد مساكم زبايننا الحلوين اسبوع
May 10th, 2025 in Gaza.
جديد وصنف جديد داخل استكانه كافيه هيك رايس نكنين بالنوتيلا لسه مكملين معكم.
Literally just like the Holocaust. Anyway, no one cares. That's not the point that I'm trying to make. The point that I'm trying to make is, here's him again. The same guy. Leigh Evans, the Welsh nurse, crying in Egypt. All he wanted was peace. Here he is in a red robe. In a red robe! Shouting for peace! For peace!
So death to the IDF!
Oh, never mind. He's shouting for the death of every single Israeli, because there's a mandatory draft in Israel. Everyone's part of the IDF.
Death to the IDF! Death to the IDF! So death to the IDF! Death to the IDF! Death to the IDF!
God, he's so peaceful. It's just his overwhelming peace that really gets it to me. So this guy is easily the funniest character ever. I love him.
Kind of a double-edged sword, really. You know, I'm really quite disappointed that we didn't get through to Gaza.
We didn't get to Gaza! Please! Let me into Palestine! Their breasts are empty! Now, here's the funniest part. Now, Palestine Action is actually a terrorist organization. So this is the something of an update. Palestine Action, the terrorist organization, is starting to arrest criminals.
هم الآن كما تشاهدون يتعرضون للاعتقال من قبل الشرطة.
Do you recognize this fellow here in the background?
البريطانية التي حذرتهم مسبقا بأنها ستقوم بإنفاذ القانون.
Do you recognize this beautiful man? This guy?
بحسب القانون مكافحة الإرهاب للعام 2000 لأنهم في اعتقادها يدعمون.
They say they're supporting a terrorist organization. They are supporting a terrorist organization. He's part of Palestine Action. It's prescribed as a terrorist organization. And if you are still supporting it, then you are a terrorist.
منظمة تم تصنيفها ضمن التنظيمات الإرهابية التي تدعم الإرهاب وهي
What about Palestine? What will they do without him?
منظمة تعمل في العمل المباشر كما تشاهدون.
There he is.
هذا الشخص تقتاده الشرطة البريطانية لأن لها ترخيصا بموجب هذا القانون.
His breasts are empty. Do you know what that smells like? He's actually in jail. They arrested him. They actually arrested him as being part of a terrorist organization. Is that not the funniest shit you'd ever seen? Now, I bring you back to where we started. Hasan made this tweet saying, JD Vance and Marco Rubio make a big show about how horrible the free speech rules in the UK. True! Now that an actual egregious, cynical violation of free expression, there is no violation of free expression. Them arresting terrorists is not a violation of free expression. Them arresting terrorists is because they're terrorists. So I needed you to have that context to understand how disingenuously fucking retarded Hasan is. Because if he is supporting Palestine Action, which he is, and Palestine Action is prescribed as a terrorist organization in the United States as well, which it very likely will be, the chances of him going to jail skyrockets. What can I say? Now, I wanted to show you media coverage of this before we actually watch Hasan's egregiously disgusting video lying the entire time. I have to show you this. So this is Douglas Murray on this situation. If I can get it to play.
Want to take you to London, where pro-Palestinian supporters continue to clash with police. Let's have a look.
All right.
Now, these were members or supporters of the Palestine Action Group at Trafalgar Square. Now, this group is expected to be banned, Douglas, by the government, prescribed as a terrorist organisation.
Epic foreshadowing. It was.
After its members allegedly vandalised 2 planes at an RAF base.
Bro, they went and they vandalized military planes. Bro, they vandalized military planes. And Hasan is like, but freedom of speech.
How do you see the way Western governments have handled this uprising since October 7, particularly the British, because they seem to have been particularly weak?
Yeah, I mean, they're all weak, Rita, and it's because they don't know what to do. They've imported large populations of people who have brought their own sectarian politics to countries like Britain, whether it's to do with Kashmir, Pakistani populations who've come to the UK who bang on about Kashmir, or the same people and others who will bang on about Middle Eastern politics. They've just brought their rife ethnic and religious hatreds with them. And the British state, like many other countries, doesn't know what to do now other than do a bit.
They're like, wait a second. So we imported a lot of people with toxic, dangerous ideologies, and they're actually toxic and dangerous? What? No!
Of kumbaya, why don't we all love the multiculti society bit? But actually, these people we're seeing there, I mean, they call themselves Palestine Action, and they attack RAF bases. They're just a combination of 2 groups of people, radical Muslims and absolutely hollowed out Western far leftists who believe that
it's crazy to think about it, bro. It's the gay people and it's the gay theists and the Muslims. They've gotten together. They've made a ragtag alliance. And they're, like, what is going on?
Their life will have some kind of meaning if they pretend that Palestine, as if that's a thing, a name, a place, a state, should be foremost in all of their concerns. And it's a very interesting test for a country like Britain.
It is pretty interesting.
Can the police and others actually rein in radical groups who bring our cities to a halt because of imported bigotries and hatreds? Or will they just continue to allow them to run riot? So far, they've just allowed them to run riot. We'll see. But if Starmer were to ban them, that would seem to me to be a very good thing. No other groups are allowed to shut down cities repeatedly, be hooligans, deface things, invade military bases, and much more. I think there should be a price for that. And I'm very happy if Palestine Action go the same way as the people they admire so much and get prescribed like Hamas and other terrorist groups.
Pretty weird. Pretty odd. So people are actually starting to really pick up on this, and it's really nice. It's really nice to see people actually talking about how insane this is. I have a wonderful person in my chat saying that death to the IDF doesn't mean anything bad. The IDF isn't a person. The IDF is a military. There's nothing wrong with saying death to military. So I do appreciate you being all cool about that. Let me find the clip. Hold on. Let me find the clip. I appreciate your comment. I do. All right. What do you think of this? You let me know, because this is where that's...
Death to every single IDF soldier out there as an agent of terror for Israel.
Right. So you're wrong. You've been proven wrong. And you are gonna apologize or get banned, because it's my chat. And this guy, by the way, started the entire death to the IDF shouting thing, this Bob Villain guy. So, you're wrong. Moving on. That's life. Anyway, very excitingly,
joining me now is GB host,
I wanted to see
GB News host Patrick Christie's. Patrick, thanks for joining me from London tonight. UK MPs have voted in favour of legislation that will prescribe the group Palestinian Action as a terrorist organisation.
All right, it is official. It is actually official. It is actually official, bro. Oh my God.
Legislation was passed by 385 votes to 26 and will come into effect later this week. But among those who voted against the move, former Labor leader Jeremy Corbyn, who said that rather than ban the group, people should listen to them.
Yes, indeed. I mean, so basically, Palestine Action are now in the mess around sense, and there's
mess around. That's adorable. They're in the fuck around and find out stage. They have fucked around, and now they are finding out. They have successfully fucked around, and now they are reaching a glorious level of finding out. Yes, they go in, they attack police with sledgehammers, bro. They are vandalizing banks, they're vandalizing factories, they're attacking charities, they are pouring paints on paintings, they are tearing paintings to shreds, they are stealing monuments and beheading them. They are a terrorist organization. As Isaac Newton once said, every action is an equal and opposite reaction. If you fuck around, you will find out. And they have reached that find out stage. Now, you need to see this context before we tear Hasan Piker to shreds, because he does some of the most disingenuous, gross, and disgusting, vile levels of terrorist propaganda I've ever seen.
Starting to find out, aren't they? So there's a couple of double-barreled surnames in the list of people who've now been charged because of their actions with Palestine Action. But as you rightly pointed out, 26 members of parliament voted not to prescribe them. They said things like, "We are all Palestine Action." Well, let's see how brave they are now. Go on, say it again, because you could be charged under the terrorist legislation, and it would be a real shame if they repeated that, wouldn't it?
No, I really want them to. I want them to. Do it. Be brave, guys. Be brave. Go and join Palestine Action now that they're counted as a terrorist organization. And do it. Do it. Be brave, guys. Be brave. Oh my God. The glory, the beauty. This is wonderful shit.
Jeremy Corbyn was very nearly the Prime Minister of this country. He was nearly our envoy to the world, and conceivably, he would have been in support of them. Someone did point out that he voted against prescribing Al-Qaeda as a terrorist organisation.
So wait, so the guy that's on the defense for the Palestine Action Group was also running defense for Al-Qaeda. Oh, Hasan Piker, you are so fucked, brother. 666%, brother. I've done the math. Oh, this is beautiful. You can't make this shit up.
Several years ago. So
Al-Qaeda did mostly peaceful attacks on the World Trade Center.
He's not always been on the right side of history, but some of these MPs and the Hooray Henry types in British society have said that they're going to try to do an I am Spartacus moment.
I am Spartacus. Yeah, they all went, I am Palestine Action, and then they all get absolutely obliterated. That's yes, dude. By the way, there's a reason why you have a government. There's a reason why a government has laws. There's a reason why these laws need to be enforced. If laws aren't going to be enforced, then you have no laws, and anyone could do literally anything. So I fully agree with this movement. If someone says I am Palestine Action, they are admitting to be part of a terrorist organization, and send them to jail. You go to jail for being part of a terrorist organization. This has nothing to do with freedom of speech. This has nothing to do with free expression. This is being part of a terrorist organization as prescribed overwhelmingly by the government.
All stand up and say, I support Palestine Action. Well, I've got an idea. Instead of prosecuting them, just send them to Gaza.
Yo, this guy is so based. I don't know who this guy is. I just wanted to see like the actual news. But oh my God, this guy is so based. Send them to Palestine. Everyone that pronounces it that way goes to Palestine.
I mean, loads of them also support things like trans rights. We could see if they could make the case for trans rights in Gaza.
Yeah, maybe they'll do well. Maybe they'll do well.
Wait, there is a huge...
By the way, I'll have you know that there was a Hamas general that turned out to be gay, and they executed him. Hamas executed their own general for being gay. Just saying.
Huge undercurrent, though, in this country of radical, hardline Islamist support. And it's going to be a very difficult job for police now at the various marches and protests that are taking place, especially in our capital city, to try to prosecute every single person who says they support Palestine action. But of course, they should do that.
Yeah, because they're part of terrorist organizations. I think it's literally that simple. It's literally that simple. If you're part of a terrorist organization, go to jail. There's no reason. There is no reason to keep these people running around. Like, if they're going to disrespect, I think one of the most important laws anyone could enforce, like, don't be a terrorist, all right? If you are not going to support something like that, then what's going to stop you from doing anything else? Let's say your moral high ground will just be stabbing people randomly.
Well, just for people here in Australia who don't understand anything about Palestine action, how much support do they have in the UK, and why have they been prescribed as a terrorist organisation? What have they done?
Yeah, absolutely. So Palestine Action do have a fair bit of support because of the name, really. A lot of people here that say, oh, we support Palestine, they just support them. They've done a load of protests, violent protests, where they've broken into people's businesses because they've claimed that they're making parts for things like Israeli weapons, even though those businesses have not been doing that.
Bro! They were trying to save Palestinians by ransacking and vandalizing British factories that had nothing to do with anything. Bro, dude. Oh my God. Dude, this is a terrorist organization, and I think everyone needs to take notes. Everyone needs to take notes. If you have people going out there breaking the law on purpose, by the way, I think the LA rioters, the ones that are lighting cars on fire, they should also be prescribed as a terrorist organization. They are in Los Angeles, flying foreign flags, attacking police officers. I don't understand. I do not understand why this is not being treated like terrorism. It should.
But the straw that broke the camel's back was that these numpties broke into
a
British military base.
Bro, this is the most British drama of all time.
An Air Force base, and damaged a plane.
Bro, the numpties broke into a British Air Force base. This is terrorism. This actually is terrorism.
A massive RAF, Royal Air Force plane.
Holy shit.
Causing a huge amount of damage.
They do be terrorists, innit? They're drinking from water bottles and they're attacking our Air Force planes. Jail! Jail for all of them.
By definition, really, is a terrorist act. And it was coming at a very sensitive time when it was all really kicking off in Iran. And who knows, we might have really needed that fighter jet at that particular moment in time. So they did that. That was the step too far, attacking British military bases and equipment.
And as you said, there's a number of members of Parliament who, even despite all that, didn't want to see them prescribed as a terror organisation.
Mind-blowing. That's why, again, it was like 385 to 26. All right? 385 to 26, brother. Holy shit. Holy shit. It's overwhelming. And remember, Hasan Piker supports them.
Beggars belief. Unusual scenes in the British Parliament. Patrick, UK Chancellor Rachel Reeves appeared to be in tears. Have a look.
The Prime Minister headed to Parliament to take questions about dropping key elements of his welfare reforms. Before he even started, it was clear something was amiss with the Chancellor to his left.
The reformed welfare system that we're putting in place will be better for individuals, better for the taxpayer, and better for the economy.
As the session went on, Rachel Reeves looked
why the fuck is she crying? Oh my God, dude, I'll never take England seriously.
Increasingly distressed and became the focus of questions.
Oh my
She looks absolutely miserable.
The Prime Minister's team assured us afterwards that the Chancellor is going nowhere. Her spokesman said she was upset by a personal matter.
So, Patrick, what was going on there? And I believe the effects of her crying in Parliament even affected the value of the pound, which dropped as a result.
Absolutely. So our Prime Minister is a spineless jellyfish of a man.
All right, I've seen enough. That's crazy. All right, I'm done. I don't care. Anyway, that's enough of that. I wanted to get to the whole Hasan part of this, because Hasan makes this entire video, where dude, I'm telling you, England is just a Karenocracy. It really is. It's an entire society run by Karens. But somehow they managed to do the right thing and prescribe terrorists as terrorists. So, interestingly enough, Here is what we have, and I am really excited because Hasan makes a video. Grandmother at the age of 83 arrested. Why? For supporting Palestine.
Speaking of people going absolutely insane mode over the prosecution of... Speaking of people going absolutely insane mode over the prosecution...
I don't know if he's wearing a fucking... the sickle, the communist sickle shirt, bro.
Of Israel's unpopularity, the British police have arrested protesters on suspicion of terror offenses after Palestine Action was banned. Palestine Action was banned after one of the direct actions that they engaged in were
banned or prescribed as a terrorist organization.
They went to the Royal Air Force planes, like they went.
They went to the planes. Right. They broke into the Royal Air Force base. Okay, they went to the planes.
Went to a Royal Air Force
went.
Plane hangar and spray painted some of these planes that were supposed to ship weapons.
They spray painted it. So they vandalized a couple of planes. They damaged the planes according to the British police. But he's reading Al Jazeera. He is reading Al Jazeera's news. Okay, to be clear, Al Jazeera is a Qatar-based propaganda news site, all right? I don't know why when he's talking about England, he's reading Al Jazeera, but that's part of the grift. He has to push the propaganda. That is all it's about. You push the propaganda, you do not actually engage in the genuine points. They vandalized a couple of planes of a Royal Air Force after breaking into an Air Force hangar. That is terrorism.
To Israel with red paint, and the government worked to proscribe Palestine Action as a terrorist group. So now
it is a terrorist group. It is a terrorist group defined by the British government, voted in 385 to 26. Okay? This is a pretty fucking unanimous decision.
Now, when you say that you are pro-Palestine Action, it is akin in the UK, in the United Kingdom, to saying that you are pro-ISIS.
Correct. They are both designated terrorist organizations, and therefore, if you say that you are pro a terrorist organization, you are committing a crime. Yes, correct. I'm glad he understands what that means. Hasan is never going to England. He's never going to England, bro. Oh my God. I love how Hasan's moral compass always is pointing to terror. And you look at his actual fucking chat, they're all W Palestine Action. Every single one of these people is supporting a terrorist organization in the UK. And it's probably gonna reach worldwide. It's gonna happen. He's 666% fucked, but we're getting closer. I think this is actually insane.
Terror offenses from that bill can hold up to a 14-year prison sentence.
Correct. I know he just read that from his chat, which is obviously the best source of information anyone could hope for. But that is correct, because supporting a terrorist organization gets you 14 years in prison in England. Yes. Yes. It's not just the bill, bro. It's supporting a terrorist organization, which you're really good at.
And in the process of this, they also arrested an 80-year-old priest for holding up a sign that says, "I support Palestine actions."
Yes, they arrested someone. It doesn't matter who it is, for the record. I don't care if it's a priest. I don't care if it's a 80-year-old. I don't care if it's a grandmother. If they are part of a terrorist organization, they fucked around, and now they're gonna find out. Abso-fucking-lutely, baby. No questions asked. I don't want to get into the fact that this is a lady that has grandchildren and is also a priest. I don't want to get involved in another religion's politics. Something seems a little bit sussy-wussy.
Only a handful of MPs voted in opposition to prescription. Prescription is the process in which
they prescribe it as a terrorist organization.
UK, a group is prescribed to be a terror organization.
Oh, his heart breaks. The voice cracks. The voice cracks. Oh! Oh! I am so sad. I am so sad that the vote was in 385 to 26. Overwhelming majority by over 10 times, like 15 times. Like, bro, you have to realize how retarded you actually are, right? You realize that you are anti-democracy in almost everything you stand for. You are pro-terror so far, you want an, in my opinion, Islamist dictatorial communist regime. That's what he aims for in every single one of his videos.
They have it for like ISIS. They added cynically a couple Nazi groups into this bill as well in an effort.
Cynically saying that, of course, course this isn't about the terrorists. This is only about Palestine. All of the Nazi groups added to the terrorist list? No, that was a coincidence. That was a complete and utter coincidence. Absolutely, bro. They only added Nazis to appease the to appease the people. To think that it was, oh my God, you actually retard.
To make sure it passed, okay? And now they're packing people up. By the way, JD Vance, you were completely correct that we do not have freedom of speech in this country, and you shouldn't have let Keir Starmer.
He was right. He was right. Yeah, Vance was correct. Hope you feel stupid. Vance was right.
Openly lied to you that we do. She faces now up to 14 years in prison and a criminal record as a terrorist, significantly limiting her ability to travel. In British law, she is the equivalent of an ISIS operative. Here is the extent of the British police deployed to arrest a handful of priests, professors, and activists for holding up signs that say, "I oppose genocide, I support Palestine action."
Good shit. If they're terrorists, put them away. Based.
Think about that. Think about how insane that is. I, of course, post...
I'm thinking about it. Is it insane to arrest people for supporting a terrorist organization? No. I've concluded that it is not insane. They knew it was a terrorist organization. They decided to support it anyway. It's their fault for being retarded. I'm sorry, bro. I'm sorry. Fuck them.
Posted about this as well, even though Philip Proudfoot is adding JD Vance about the lack of free speech in the UK. I say JD Vance and Marco Rubio made a big show of how horrible the free speech rules were in the UK. Now that it's an actual egregious, cynical...
By the way, you have to understand something. Hasan was always a big fan of the free speech rules in the UK because they would lock people up for opposing Islam. All right, that was primarily what it was used for. In the United Kingdom, if you burn a Quran or if you post a meme on Facebook about Islam being radical or whatever, you go to jail. That was how the UK basically did their freedom of speech laws. So to be clear, Hasan never cared about them because when it comes to Islamist terrorism, he is actually a big fan. Suspiciously enough, now that it has nothing to do with freedom of speech and it has everything to do with supporting a terrorist organization, now he cares about freedom of speech and he's willing to ally up with JD Vance, who he absolutely hates.
Violation of free expression because it's against Israel, they'll say nothing. Hell, they champion the same restrictions here. Add insult to injury, Keir Starmer himself defended a group of anti-war protesters against the Iraq war that did the exact same thing that Palestine Action did.
You here today?
And by the way, Hasan does not mention this, but in case you're curious, this priest that was arrested was only actually held for a few hours before bail. Just to be clear, this priest is not in jail right now. I want this to be clear. The priest is not in jail. So he makes this entire video fear-mongering for another reason.
Stand up for the people of Palestine and the fact that this organisation is a terrorist organisation, which is not, and that we are losing our civil liberties.
Like the cop, the booby, is holding on to this dangerous terrorist, okay? This dangerous terrorist woman.
What if she murders somebody? If she murders somebody, then does she go to jail? So then it's really not about the age, it's about the crime, right? So it's really not about the age. It's about the crime. If she would murder someone, she'd go to jail. So, if it's about the crime, what should be the punishment for supporting a terrorist organization? Well, if you ask Hasan Piker, nothing. Because he supports every terrorist organization you could think of. He supports the Houthis, he supports Hamas, he supports Hezbollah, he supports Trendy Aragua. Alright, he supports every terrorist organization you could possibly think of. So, according to him, obviously no punishment. But according to me, fuck him.
Once again, technically, under British law, I'm currently showing you terrorism propaganda. Do you understand how...
Correct! Yes! That's right, bitch! And it's coming for you, baby!
Stupid that is. Hopefully this will shed a little bit of light onto how...
That's why I made this video, by the way. And that's why I gave you all the context, because I'm the only person that actually goes this hard and this deep on Hasan motherfucking Piker. Alright? No one actually cooks him like this. God damn, let's up those numbers! Definitely subscribe. But yeah, I needed you to have that context so you can understand that he is actively supporting a terrorist organization right now.
How stupid the terrorism designation is and how little it should matter for normal human beings, okay? Because right now, I am technically promoting a dangerous terrorist group according to the United Kingdom.
Correct. You are right.
This lady, under the eyes of the law as of today, basically an ISIS affiliate. Yeah, British nationals who commit war crimes and participate in genocide are allowed no questions asked back into the UK. Also, a recent BBC story revealed that MI5 was protecting a neo-Nazi informant who was a known abuser and lied to courts about it. So I don't.
Oh my God, Secret Service does things wrong. So why are they arresting terrorists? That's literally what his chat is saying right now. And you know he's gonna agree. He's like, oh my God, Jeffrey Epstein raped children. And you're arresting terrorists? Like, that, it's so, two wrongs don't make a right, first of all. And second of all, what a slanted fucking comment.
Like our prime minister, human rights lawyer gives a... Yeah. Add insult to injury, though, like I said, when he was a human rights lawyer, he defended in the courts, in the British court system, he defended someone who did a protest, did the exact same thing as Palestine.
Bro, he was a defense attorney. Defense attorneys fucking defend everyone. This is not an argument.
Action, which was, I think, to spray paint or dump paint on planes that were supposed to fly to Iraq. I understand America's...
To be clear, just to be honest, it's not just about that one action. It's a multitude of actions that designated them as a terrorist organization. Just to be clear.
Dedication towards defending Israel, but it really confused me as to why UK takes such draconian action when it comes to things associated with Israel. I guess they're working towards Western interests, but I don't know. What do you mean? Israel is initially...
This is awesome. Get ready.
A British settler colony.
A British settler colony. He says with tears, British colony. Even though Jews have always lived in Israel. Literally always. 1948 is just when the British mandate decided to make Israel a country. But good try.
Israel was
British settler comedy, bro.
Created by England. Israel...
yeah, it was created by England. Absolutely. There was never a place Israel there ever before.
Was created by the British.
There were never Jews in that land. That's all a lie.
They made it, and they've actively participated in the genocide. At least currently, today, they have no reason to. They currently have no reason to do all of this. The reason why they're doing this is...
The majority of Jews were moved in there, though. Yeah, because all the Arab countries around Israel expelled all the Jews in 1948. Are you not aware? Did you not know about that? Did you not know that all the Arab countries expelled all the Jews? Like, look up Morocco. Look up the Jewish population in Morocco 100 years ago and look at the population now. It went from 270,000 to 2,000. And look up Iran and Iraq. Obviously, there was a lot of moving in from Europe also after, you know, there was this little thing called the Holocaust that happened. A lot of Jews didn't want to live in Poland and Germany at that point. Absolutely. Yeah. Look, it's a sad situation. It really is. It's very, very sad. But to say that, you know, England just created Israel out of nowhere and therefore it's their interest is a very, very insane oversimplification.
Because they want to feel powerful. It's so stupid. Zoe Gardner cited Starmer defending activists on LBC.
Palestine Action have been involved in a sustained, aggressive, broad campaign that undermines the rule of British law and undermines Britain's national security. They've engaged in 356 direct attacks to the tune of £55 million worth of damage. And
yeah, by the way, what they're describing is like dumping paint on Elbit systems, which is...
Is that not damage? Is dumping paint on houses not counted as damage?
The Israeli weapons manufacturer, or doing stuff like this, dumping paint on like Royal Air Force planes, right?
It's dumping paint on Royal Air Force planes not damage? Does that not count? Like, that's the craziest shit, bro. He's like, yeah, it was only $55 million of damages, but it was just like, it was just stealing statues and cutting their heads off and pouring paint on things and breaking windows and attacking police with sledgehammers. All right? It was only that.
Right? And it's literally direct action. People in England always yell at climate change protesters for going to like museums and throwing a can of soup or something.
Based! Why the fuck should protesters be throwing soup in museums? Yes! Correct! What are you talking about?
A painting. They'll be like, oh, if you want to be impactful, why don't you go after the real people, the harmful people, the oil and gas giants, right? So when these guys are literally doing that, okay, when they are directing their...
What do you mean they're literally doing that? It is not the place of... Okay, Hasan he's just literally supporting terrorism, right? We're on the same page. He is directly supporting vandalism and terrorism. Are we hearing that correctly? I'm trying to make sure that we understand exactly what we're talking about. Like, literally, we're on the same page. He is directly saying he supports vandalism and terrorism if you think that your vandalism is contributing to the savior of Palestine. That is what he just said.
Animosity, anger to entities and organizations, institutions, private and public, that directly participate in this ongoing genocide.
So are you literally supporting actual terrorism because you say that things in England are supporting a genocide, so therefore you have the right to destroy government buildings and private? He said private also? Is that what you're saying? Do you think that you have the right to murder an Israeli that's on vacation in England because they're Israeli and they're participating because every Israeli has mandatory service in the IDF? Is that what you're saying, Hasan? I'm really glad that he does this on camera, I'll be honest. I'm really glad he does this on camera. It makes it so much easier. But that's literally what he says. That is literally what he's saying. He is saying that you have the right to break any law that you want, to contribute to vandalizing and destruction of anything that you want, as long as it contributes to stopping the genocide in Palestine. That is what he is fucking saying. All right? I'm not reading too deep into this. This is what he's saying. He is directly calling for violence and directly calling for vandalism. There are no two ways about it. That's what he's saying.
And they're like, you're a terrorist and you need to go to jail.
US warplanes.
That's why when there were two Jewish guys executed in Washington, D.C., he all but directly supported the terrorist.
Reaching Iraq, it was Keir Starmer, who was the lawyer who defended them on the basis that they were acting for the greater good to prevent war crimes from taking place. And in 2017, two activists attempted to disarm Typhoon jets to prevent them reaching Saudi Arabia and to take part in war crimes in Yemen. And they were again found not guilty on the basis that they were attempting to prevent war crimes, which is the true intention, actually, of this group. It is not their intention to intimidate or to damage national security. It is their intention to prevent war crimes from taking place, which are taking place. And while we can agree that they took the matters into their own hands, they knew they were committing criminal damage, they knew they were committing vandalism, and they should be charged under those terms. The idea that they are terrorists and that I, now for expressing my support for them, could
oh shit, another one,
face serious terrorist charges up to 14 years in jail is a terrifying escalation and abuse of state power, and we should not stand for it for a second.
Okay, well, I'm glad that you're not standing for it, but you know who did stand for it? 385 people versus 26. Sorry, Palestine Action is a terrorist organization. Anyway, Communist Luffy has something to say.
The law even saying that you oppose Palestine Action being prescribed as a terrorist organization is against the law and you can get 14 years. Well, you know.
No, it's not. That's bullshit. You just read something in chat that's just not true.
No, I stand with Palestine Action.
Let's go! He says it out loud. He just says it out loud. Another terrorist organization. Put it in the hat. Put it in the fucking hat, baby. Add it to the jar. Another terrorist organization. Another terrorist organization.
And they should not be proscribed, and they are a moral force for good.
The moral force for good of vandalizing random fucking factories.
In this island of cruelty and evil that's getting seemingly worse and worse every...
England, the island of cruelty and evil. You know why? You know why? It's not enough immigrants.
Day. They also are the voice of the majority. They are not alone, and any attempts to prosecute this is going to backfire spectacularly.
All right, we'll see.
Because this kind of cruelty,
the cruelty of imprisoning terrorists,
only creates more resentment, only creates more animosity. Because everyone...
You know how many more terrorists are going to be upset that you've arrested terrorists? Great argument, Hasan.
Understands the overwhelming majority of the public are fully aware of what the is going on, and they're obviously understandably frustrated with the fact that their governments are not doing anything.
I agree, but our perspective of anything is very different.
They're not doing the right thing. And on top of that, this kind of like over prosecution is going to really piss off people.
What over prosecution? Prosecuting people as terrorists when they're terrorists? Well, you mean when someone commits acts of terrorism or are part of terrorist organizations, prosecuting them as being part of terrorist organizations is going too far?
Are the ones killing children.
Arrested for allegedly supporting a newly designated terrorist organisation.
Good shit, baby! Good shit! Oh, is this what winning feels like?
You are under arrest under Section 13 of the Terrorism Act. From midnight on Friday, it became illegal to be a member of or to support Palestine Action.
Yeah, so just stop. That's the law. You're in England. That's your country. They made that law. Now that's life.
After the Home Secretary prescribed the group, placing it alongside the likes of Hamas and Al-Qaeda. Displaying the group's logo is enough to potentially face a lengthy prison term. Yet that didn't stop dozens of people standing up against what they say is an attack on democratic rights.
God, I fucking love that people are actually doing this. I love that people are doing this, man. Like, I'm actually gonna still stand with the I'm still gonna stand with the terrorist organization. You can't stop me. And then they throw them in jail. The most retarded part about this is the factory that the Palestinian action vandalized wasn't manufacturing arms to Israel. It was for Ukraine. No. No. Wait, what? No, that's diabolical. There's no way. Hold up. That's insanity. I have to see that. Oh my god, bro. That is insane. That is crazy. Palestine Action, soon to be designated as a terror group, reportedly planned to target the British Air Base, the Royal Air Force Cranwell, and Barkston Heath, notably used as training airfields for Ukrainian pilots.
Are you not afraid that you're going to potentially go to jail for 14 years?
Can't arrest us all.
I hope they do.
It does seem that there is quite a lot of police here to do it.
The juror's like, they're trying. Madam, look at the amount of bobbies. They are trying to arrest you all. Are left-wing extremists a threat in Britain? 64% of Labour says no. 34% of Conservatives say no. 34% of Reform says no. Overall, 47% say no. 36% say yes. That's crazy.
Yeah, this is big, baby.
The fact that there are 36% of the British public consider left-wing extremists a threat to Britain is...
Makes sense. I think that they're a threat.
Is nutty.
Yeah, I'm part of that 36. I mean, I'm not in England, obviously. But yeah, I think so. Yeah, absolutely.
The ability to prosecute people for only verbal support of a prescribed organization was only added in 2010. The Terrorism Act was put in 2000. Yeah.
Meaning this is a law that's existed for 15 years. Bro, literally, this is a law that existed for 15 years.
Poll, more in common. Ask voters to list Labour's biggest achievement after 1 year in power. The top answer by a landslide, nothing. Followed by NHS. Don't know what they did for the NHS. Maybe they did some. I haven't been paying close attention.
Protesters are
not a big fan of England myself, but this is glorious.
Vowing to continue their action until the group is deprescribed. Now they will have to wait to find out the sentences of those arrested on Saturday and decide whether continued support is a risk worth taking. Oliver Whitfield-Miocic, Sky News, London.
Yeah, I think this is great. Honestly, this is hilarious. But I think the most telling part for me in this entire video was Hasan directly saying that he is supporting acts of terrorism and vandalism and violence if it's going to help to stop the genocide in Palestine.
Doing that, okay, when they are directing their animosity, anger to entities and organizations, institutions, private and public, that directly participate in this ongoing genocide, then they're like, you're a terrorist and you need to go to jail.
Correct.
US warplanes reaching.
Correct. He is directly saying that he endorses violence and all sorts of wild levels of violence and vandalism and all of these things. He supports all of them if those things are going to help contribute to stopping the so-called genocide in Palestine. That is what he wants. He supports terrorism. He's supporting another terrorist organization, and this is him inciting violence against anyone, honestly. Anyone that he deems as someone that supports violence in Palestine. So any Zionist, he's supporting that. He's all for that. Kill as many Zionists as you can, according to Hasan Piker. I am personally glad he says this stuff out loud, because when he goes to jail, this will be being played in court for it. And I will be there to watch it as in real time as I fucking can. Subscribe, because when he's 1000% fucked, we will be covering it. Somehow the nurse guy, the breasts are empty guy, is in jail now, so that's diabolical. And honestly, I think this might be the worst I've seen of him directly supporting vandalism and terrorism. I think that this was absolutely a glorious level of cooking. I thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you guys. Definitely subscribe, up those numbers, as Ludwig once said, and most and foremost, get ready, because the Hasan Piker train is not over. Operation Let Them Speak. His breasts will be very empty in prison. Stay weird, fam. Like, subscribe, and this video was streamed live on kick.com/Nuxanor. See you there. Stay weird, fam.